Hello guys and gals, welcome back. More chord things. This is the secret sauce behind classic dance riffs. So I want to teach you the one chord trick. That's not one chord trick, I mean the one chord and all the tricks you can do with it. Does that make sense? As in, chord number one, lots of tricks, not one chord trick. The one chord trick. Anyway, let me show you what I mean. If I play you these riffs, you might recognize. Yeah, what about this one? What about this one? And one last one. You recognize those, right? Or most. No worries if you don't. But I want to tell you about a chord trick that all of those have in common. And it's really simple to understand. So let's get stuck in. Now, let's pick a rhythm. If you saw episode 8, I think it was, yep, episode 8 of my EDM theory series, we were playing around with these timings between 2s and 3s. I'm just going to pick a random one here. There we go. We can do this. Let's go with that. Now, if we build our chord as normal, we're in A minor, of course. So it's all the white notes. Sounds good. So how do we make these riffs? Well, as you know, normally a chord is built from the first note, and then a 3, and then a 5. 1, 3, 5. And we can have 7s, 9ths, etc., etc. The chord trick in question requires us to mess around with this note 3 here and swap it between either 4s, 2s, or we can mess around with the first note as well. And let's show how that works. So I'm just going to swap a couple here. So what's going on here? Well, what we have is, as soon as we move the 3rd away, this is called a sus2 chord, suspended second. So instead of our minor chord, we now have a suspended second. And the reason it's called that, probably, it comes from suspensions. So suspensions are either suspended 4ths or suspended seconds, like this. And the concept is you've removed the core of the chord, if you like. The 3rd note here, this note 3, is the indicator of what type of chord it is. If I remove this entirely, you have no indication whether it's of a minor tonality or a major tonality. So what happens when you move to neither? Again, it's not major or minor, but that note being there and the fact that it clashes with either side, that suspension, that suspense, naturally wants to resolve back to the 3, which is why we have this kind of line here. We're always resolving back. If I make a line that has no resolution, you should find it sounds unfinished. See what I mean? That's the suspension. And this would be the resolution. This would be the resolve. That's kind of the payoff, if you will. So all those 4 riffs I showed you, Insomnia, Felix, Don't You Want Me, Prodigy, No Good. This one is Chicane, Offshore. They all use this trick. One more thing that they might do is sometimes we can drop the 1. Now, why does that work if our bass line is stuck on A? By the way, our bass line is just playing notes on A. Let me solo this. I have a piano and a guitar layered, by the way. So what happens when you move the 1 down on the chord? It's not a suspended chord anymore, but you build up from the chord as we normally do. So we got 1, 3, 5, 7. This is now a 9. So this is basically what we've made is a 9th. So imagine that's our finished riff. Yeah, I'd say that works. There's one more really cool trick we can do with it. What we're doing here is moving the bass chords while keeping the riff the same. So the riff isn't changing, but we're managing to go from a static 1, what I call a 1 drop, where everything stays on the 1 chord, to this. So let me show you what's going on there quickly as well. Now, if we ignore the specifics of the riff and just treat it as if it's a 1 chord, as we know, you build chord extensions like this, all the white notes, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, etc., etc. Now, what if you go downwards? Because this is still a chord, right? Press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1. Okay. Let me just solo these. Sounds fine, right? What we've done is create chord 6, 7th. Because this is note 6 in the scale. Here's our note 1. Press 1, miss 1, press 1, miss 1, press 1. This is chord 6. This would be an F. And this is a 7th. So we just created chord 6. As you can see, it has these 3 notes in common with chord 1. And I think it was Illenium video 2, where I talked about chord substitutions. And this is one of the fundamental principles of chord substitution. It's sharing lots of notes so we can substitute it in. So we know chord 6 works with chord 1. What if we go down again? This is a chord, right? Okay, it's getting a little jazzy, but that's a chord. What chord is it? Let's count up from A. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be chord 4. This is our 7th. This This is our ninth. So this is chord 4 minor ninth. In this case, D. D minor ninth. Now we can't go down again. Because that creates what's called a half diminished chord. And as I mentioned last time, in rave harmony, we're not going to go over diminished chords just yet. Suffice to say, they're not used very often. Well, you can hear the reason why. They don't sound great out of context. Anyway, so we know chord 1 works with chord 6, works with chord 4. And remember how we did this. I think this is with our riff. This becomes an inversion, in fact. If we swap the E down, look what we have. This is chord 5. This is note 5, the E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's chord 5. So we've got a chord 5 in our riff, kind of by accident. And I'm going to show you the bass notes that I'm swapping to. Forgive the pattern, it's kind of very skippy. So here's our 6. We go up to 4. We go down to 1. And I've chosen 7 here. So I know chord 5 was technically inside there, but this note 7 is in chord 5, remember? It's here. And I'm just following this inversion almost of chord 5 by using the G instead of the E. Note 7 instead of note 5. And it also creates this falling melody here. From the 1 to the 7 to the 6. All together. So, now you know the chord trick behind many a classic dance anthem. It's as simple as playing around with different chord versions, suspendeds and substitutions. Simple as that, right? I hope that made some sense. And if you found it helpful, leave me a like. If you loved it, leave it a sub. If you have any questions, leave them below, please. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.